So SBMM has been a massive topic within the Call of Duty community for a while now. And with the Black Ops 6 beta, we saw an experience like never before. Now, betas in the past have been sweaty, they've been cranked up for sure, and obviously the traditional Call of Duty experience is nothing like this. It used to never be like this until Black Ops 2, when technically SBMM was introduced originally, and then really didn't become a massive problem until Advanced Warfare, when a lot of people started using artificially reverse boosted accounts to get the easiest of possible lobbies by basically nuking your stats to allow you to get into really easy lobbies. And that kind of became a tradition from there on out into Modern Warfare 2019, when SBMM was really turned up, when an extremely casual player base was brought in through Warzone being free to play. But now with the Black Ops 6 beta behind us, we wanted to put together a little video just to discuss SBMM in Call of Duty and kind of use this as an opportunity for us as a community to discuss SBMM as a whole and kind of get everybody's opinions on it after we break everything down. After seeing how strong Activision implemented SBMM or EOMM into a beta experience, which in my opinion, a beta specifically should not have any form of SBMM because the whole point of it is to try it out, to give it a chance. Now, I guess you could argue that a new player trying it out for the first time could be discouraged from wanting to play further if they're constantly getting destroyed in every single lobby. So I guess you could argue it in that way, but other than that, this is an opportunity to really allow players of all sorts to try out all the different features, all the different weapons, to play differently, especially with Omni movement out in the game, to kind of have fun with that. But instead, we're given another experience where we have to sweat it out like every other experience that we've gotten in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Every single lobby is turned into a competitive ranked match, or it feels like you're performing on the CDL main stage. Now, before we break down SBMM and talk about all the problems that go into it, we're gonna go ahead and show how extreme Black Ops 6 in the beta had SBMM in it, how insanely strong it was. So what we did is we made an entirely new account. His name's Albert, and Albert is a casual player that's only gonna be playing on the weekends, maybe an hour max on a Sunday night, chilling, got his legs kicked up on the desk, he's got a big bowl of Doritos to his side, and life is good. This is the kind of lobby that he's gonna find himself in. I mean, we're talking players that are super hyper casual. These guys are really clueless in a lot of these situations. As you can see, you can jump around them, almost kind of trolling them, and it felt odd. It was an entire different experience. These are players that are going to have much lower stats. Most likely, almost all of them are to be under a 1 KD, which nothing wrong with that, but these players are not going to be, they're not going to be your strongest players by any means. I mean, there were some examples where I would literally jump on the hard point or jump onto a domination flag, and because of the new Omni movement, depending on how you fall to the ground, it almost looks like your player is dead already, or not actually a real player. It looks like almost like just like a lifeless body on the ground or whatever. Oftentimes, these players would literally run by me and not even know that I was there, or they would look directly at me in some of these situations, then look away or run away. They literally did not know that I was that I was an enemy because I wasn't shooting back and I wasn't moving around. It was insane. Compare that to your average lobby where people are jump shotting, drop shotting, slide canceling, doing some of the craziest movement you have ever seen. It is literally a night and day experience. Now, these guys are probably having the time of their life. They're having a great experience, but for other players and a large population of players, these guys were going to experience an entire different situation where each game is almost exhausting. It's not fun. It's the same thing over and over, and there's no ability to really use any different weapons or try anything out different. The experience just kind of is lackluster, and that's what we're going to be breaking down today, the problems of SBMM and what causes these problems. Now, first off, the obvious, SBMM creates a far less casual experience. You can no longer just hop into a match while you're on the phone with your friend. You can no longer just hop into a match and just play without thinking. Running around with a weapon that has the craziest attachments on, having fun with the sniper even if you're not that great at sniping, or maybe using a sawed-off shotgun, seeing how good you can do with that, or maybe you want to use a pistol and go pistol only for a game. Or maybe you want to play while you're on the phone with your girlfriend, or you want to be watching a movie to the side while you're playing and just have a completely casual experience. Or maybe you're just in a call on Discord and you want to play casually with no headset on or something. You know, these experiences almost are non-existent unless you want to go triple negative. Now, on top of that, I'm sure many of the people that are watching this video that care about SBMM, EOMM, all these different things, and are here watching watching Carnage videos, most likely you're an above average player. Now, all it really takes is above like a 1.3, 1.4 to be in the 30% category of players in Call of Duty. So if you're in that range, you're an above average player. And I'm sure you have hyper casual friends from school or work that barely play Call of Duty. They might be a gamer and play Roblox or different single player games and campaigns, but Call of Duty is something they just kind of hop on when they want to play with their friends. And so you invite your friend to your lobby, and because you're an above average player and SBMM is there, they recognize that when they're playing with you, these lobbies are above their skill grade and they are just not having a good time. They are getting destroyed in every single match over and over and over with no ups and downs. There's no diversity in the experience. They're just getting destroyed every single game. So after 4 or 5 games, they say, you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and hop off, man. That's just not fun for me. Your lobbies are too much. This causes a disconnect between different player bases, not allowing to play with each other and have that good old casual Call of Duty experience like we used to be able to. And I personally have seen this be the result of different situations, not being able to play with my friends from college or other parts of my life that are hyper Call of Duty casual players. Additionally, as we talked about earlier, this kind of limits freedom when it comes to playing the Call of Duty experience. You're not able to just use whatever you want, and that is really limiting. It's really kind of sad because you're kind of stuck to using only the meta weapons. So if the MP5 and the ACR are the only weapons that are good in the game right now, those are the meta weapons, then you're kind of stuck to only using those if you want to outperform these other players or even just perform on the same level as these other players in your lobby. And that kind of leaves you with a very lackluster experience. You're not able to try out different weapons because you're just going to get outgunned every single gunfight because these guys are playing like, you're in a ranked play match, drop shotting, jump shotting, slide canceling with the meta weapons. And you'll even see this. Most lobbies that you play at higher level SBMM brackets are all going to be using the same weapons, and those weapons will typically be of meta. Now, all these problems lead to every single match feeling the exact same. And that's because with SBMM, you end up in one-to-one situations every single time. That's the whole point. It's supposed to put you in lobbies with players that are almost identical to your skill level. And because of that, the experience is going to be identical every single match. And again, implementing those other problems that we talked about earlier where there's no difference in the meta that different people are using. Everybody's kind of playing in the same play style. There's no versatility. There's no verticality to your gameplay at all. So one match is going to feel like the next, which is going to feel like the next, which is going to feel like the next, when in previous traditional Call of Duty titles prior to SBMM or prior to games that had strong SBMM, one match you might do really bad. You might just get destroyed. The next match, you'll perform a little bit better. The next match, you'll have a stellar breakout game. You will go 60-8. And then the next game, you're going 30-42. You're going negative. And that kind of experience is very frustrating. And that brings us right into the frustration zone, which is actually a marketing tactic and a system that is designed to keep you frustrated so that one game you do awful, you get frustrated and you want to do better. So you keep playing. And then the next game you also kind of do not so good. So you're even more frustrated now. Now you want to keep playing even more. So you finally do somewhat decent where you get a few streaks, but you end up going like 40-30. Now you kind of got a little bit of that dopamine going, but the next game you end up going 30-30. And then the next game you go 27-25. But then the next game you go 40-17. Now you got the dopamine again. And the point of this system is it keeps you in what they call, again, the frustration zone. This constant sway in emotions keeps you wanting more and more and more because you want to get better. You want to play better. And this specifically works on players that are typically better players that are more competitive and aren't as casually playing the game as people in lower SBMM brackets. The thing is, when a game has a ranked play option, especially one that is as prominent as Call of Duty, there shouldn't be SBMM. Ranked is playing competitively, calling out objectives, and playing strategically against other similarly skilled or evenly matched players. Normal multiplayer matches are meant for random play, meaning no matter when you hit that search button, you're getting a completely random mix of players. Now, obviously, it does have to calculate in region and stuff like that, so you're not lagging all across the map, but it should not incorporate skill. Back in Modern Warfare 3, the original one in 2011, I remember hopping into games and into lobbies, and, some games would be be really, really bad, while the next game would be really, really good, and then I'd have some average games in between like we talked about earlier. And I remember meeting so many players that were super, super good. I would get destroyed by very, very good players on the other team, and that is what made me want to get better. That is what made me want to pursue becoming a better player, and in fact, it's what made me start Carnage, is wanting to surround myself with a really good player. So I would invite these people into my party chats, I'd get to know them, and I'd start playing with them, and I would want to get tips from them. And that's actually what eventually led me to literally starting Carnage on Call of Duty Elite in 2011, and I wanted to accumulate all of the best players that I could possibly find and create this organization or this clan of the best pub stompers in the world. That was my goal. And then eventually that led into us posting pub stomping gameplays, 100+ kill gameplays, nuclears, Moabs, all that kind of stuff. And with time, I saw myself becoming a better player because I was surrounding myself with better players. I think one toxic aspect of SBMM is it kind of keeps people in the same skill bracket, and especially those lower skill brackets, it doesn't allow them to ever get any better. And it's also what has led to the mass epidemic of these lower skill bracketed players accusing other players that are slightly better than them of being cheaters, of hacking, because they can't possibly imagine a player being that good at the game. No, obviously, Ricochet has its own problems, and there are a lot of problems with hacking and, you know, true cheating in the game. That's not what we're talking about. That is what has caused this huge problem around streamers that a lot of streamers are dealing with, a lot of content creators are dealing with, where they're being accused of cheating and hacking when they're simply just not. They're streaming 10 hours a day in front of a live audience, and they play this game for a living and as a job. And obviously, when you play a lot of a certain thing or you do a lot of a certain thing, you're typically going to become really good. You're going to become the best at it. And it's just a shame to see that happen because of, honestly, SBMM. I truly believe that is a direct result of a strong SBMM system. So what does this lead us into? Well, unfortunately, this most likely means that this is never going to change. Activision has found a system that protects their lower skill bracketed players and doesn't cause them to rage quit or not want to play the game whatsoever, when in reality, I don't even know if that's necessarily the case. I don't even know if that would be the case, but clearly it's working, and SBMM has been implemented in almost every FPS and competitive or, you know, competitive-based game or shooter game across the industry. So SBMM is here to stay, unfortunately, not really ever been addressed, and it keeps players playing, especially, again, those hyper-casual players that are also buying the game every year, it seems, and, you know, Activision is going to want to protect their investment, which was implementing this entire SBMM system, which I'm sure was an expensive algorithm to create. And a lot of these players also have the $100 Vault Bundle. I was playing in some of those lobbies that we showed you earlier by creating a new Activision ID account with low stats and going into those lobbies. I noticed a lot of people having the Vault Edition skins, whether it be the player skins or the camos. So, you know, this is a business at the end of the day. Activision's going to maintain their business by protecting players from getting frustrated and to keep them in a zone where they're having a casual experience. Now, it's great for them, but unfortunately, it leads a lot of the dedicated fan base very, 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 very disappointed because, again, like we talked throughout the entire video, it gives them an experience that doesn't feel random. It almost feels like a casino where you are stuck in an endless loop of just the same thing over and over and over, with maybe 1 out of 50 games feeling like a normal dopamine hit of doing well in a Call of Duty match. It's quite frustrating to say the least, but again, don't think it's going to be changing anytime soon, and really, realistically, never. It's never going to be changing, especially when we're seeing SBMM implemented into a beta with how strong it has been. It's next level. So I don't think we're going to be seeing any changes, unfortunately. And it's quite disappointing. It leaves the player base that, you know, is probably watching this video in this community and whatnot very, very frustrated. So with that being said, I want to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on SBMM? Think about it logically. We want to have your input. We want to hear your thoughts fully and completely. Do you think SBMM is a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? What has been your experience with SBMM or EOMM? Do you think that it has made the Call of Duty experience better or worse? I want to hear your thoughts. Let us know. We've never really covered anything to do with SBMM here on the Carnage channel before, but with it being such a prevalent topic, we thought we'd put out more of a traditional Call of Duty commentary video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So with that being said, subscribe to the channel if you are new, drop a like if you enjoyed, and if you don't like SBMM. And with that being said, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys in the next one.